Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. One of the United States' most prominent bishops is warning that proposed legislation by President Joe Biden could see billions of federal tax dollars pushed towards funding abortion. In his budget request to Congress for the forthcoming fiscal year, President Biden has excluded what's known as the Hyde Amendment from his list of legislative priorities. The Hyde Amendment, which has been federal policy since 1976, prohibits funding of elective abortions via the US healthcare system, Medicaid. In response, Cardinal Joseph Tobin of New York says he is deeply concerned by the absence of the Hyde Amendment from the Biden budget request. Cardinal Tobin says that taxpayer-funded abortion represents a failure to recognise the sanctity of human life and promotes a culture in which human life, in its most vulnerable moment, is perceived as disposable. According to one estimate, the Hyde Amendment has resulted in around 60,000 fewer abortions per year across the United States. The present Democratic leadership in both the House and the Senate of Congress are currently pushing for the repeal of the policy. Pope Francis has sent condolences to the people of Haiti following the assassination of the country's head of state. President Jovenel Moïse was gunned down in his residence by unidentified attackers on Wednesday, July the 7th. He was 54 years old. The Vatican Secretary of State, Cardinal Parliamentary, has now sent a telegram addressed to all Haitians and to President Moïse's widow on behalf of the Holy Father, conveying his sorrow over the death. The Pope also prayed for the repose of the soul of the slain president and decried all forms of violence as a means of resolving crisis. The country's First Lady, Martine Moïse, was also gravely injured during the attack. She's now been taken to Florida for treatment, where her condition is said to be stable. Meanwhile, police have shot dead 4 men who are believed to have been part of the gang responsible for the attack, while 2 more men have been arrested in connection with the assassination. The bishops of England and Wales have welcomed the withdrawal of a controversial parliamentary amendment that proposed abortion on demand up to birth. The amendment to the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill had been tabled by the Labour Member of Parliament, Diana Johnson. Pro-life campaigners say it would have taken away the few remaining safeguards protecting unborn life, as well as legalizing sex-selective abortion. In the wake of stiff opposition from different quarters, including over 800 medical professionals, the amendment was withdrawn on Monday, July the 5th. That pro-life victory has been welcomed by Bishop John Sherrington, who is the lead bishop for life issues within the Catholic Church in England and Wales. He extended his gratitude to the thousands of people who spoke up on the issue. Meanwhile, another controversial amendment which would have made it an offence punishable by prison for pro-lifers to offer help to women outside abortion clinics has also been shelved. That amendment had been put forward by the Labour MP Rupa Huq. Meanwhile, health professionals in Scotland are expressing concern over an attempt in their country's parliament to legalise assisted suicide. Last month, Liberal Democrat lawmaker Liam MacArthur tabled an assisted suicide bill in the Scottish Parliament. In response, 175 healthcare professionals have now voiced their concerns in an open letter to the Health Secretary Humza Yousaf. The signatories state that they have a legal duty to care for the safety and well-being of every patient. They also describe a shift from preserving life to taking life as enormous and reference the country's Human Rights Act of 1998, which proclaims the right to life in its first article. The health professionals also say that assisted suicide threatens society's ability to protect vulnerable patients from abuse. They also stress that no one should be deprived of the right to life intentionally. Over 30 years after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and American Catholics are still donating millions of dollars to help rebuild the church in formerly communist Eastern Europe. This year, over $3.5 million will be donated via the US Bishops' Subcommittee on Aid to the Church in Central and Eastern Europe. That constitutes 208 grants to dioceses in 23 nations that were once behind the Iron Curtain. The money was raised by an annual collection for the church in Central and Eastern Europe, which is taken up by most US dioceses each winter. That money will now fund a range of educational, social, medical and pastoral projects and activities, ranging from helping revitalise parish life in the Czech Republic to building a new cathedral in Kyrgyzstan. The chairman of the committee responsible for the annual fund, Bishop Jeffrey Monforton of Steubenville, said American Catholics were helping a new generation to grow spiritually in adverse conditions. Pope Francis has tasked a fellow Jesuit with coordinating the 2023 Synod of Bishops in Rome, which will discuss the issue of synodality. The cleric in question is Cardinal Jean-Claude Hollerich. He's the Archbishop of Luxembourg and also the chair of the European Union's Commission of Bishop Conferences. As the new Relator General of the Synod of Bishops, Cardinal Hollerich will be responsible for delivering an in-depth explanation of the Synod's theme at the beginning of the Global Episcopal Gathering in October 2023. The title for that Synod is For a Synodal Church, Communion, Participation and Mission. 62-year-old Cardinal Hollerich will also preside over the preparation of the Synod's final document. Finally, the Bishops' Conference of the Philippines has elected itself a new president. He's the renowned biblical scholar, Bishop Pablo Virgilio David of Caloocan. Bishop David was elected on Thursday, July the 8th, during a plenary assembly of the country's bishops. For the past 4 years, he served as the vice president of the bishops' body. He succeeds Archbishop Romulo Valles of Devoy as president. Meanwhile, Bishop Milo Hubert Vergara of Pasig was elected as the new vice president of the Bishops' Conference. The Bishops' Conference of the Philippines has a membership of over 80 bishops, drawn from the country's 67 dioceses, 7 apostolic vicariates, 5 territorial prelatures, and 1 military ordinariate. Congratulations, Bishop David. That's all your latest headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also visit us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.